What's up guys, it's Chuck from Brady Adventures, and now that we have our Dissent off-road base bumper installed on the Land Cruiser, the next thing that we're going to do is put our swingouts onto the bumper. Here's the swingouts right here. Hey guys, if you enjoy the video, give us the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts, let us know if you have any questions about our Dissent off-road rear bumper install or anything else we got going on with our 100 Series Land Cruiser. Thanks a lot for watching. Okay guys, now I'm going to show you how to assemble one of these swingouts. I have my swingout hardware kit laid out front here. I have the two bumpers. The thin one on the inside will take up the slack in the arm when it's closed, and this thick one on the outside will keep it from banging into the end of the bumper when it opens up. There's one thick bump stop and one thin bump stop, and I made some assumptions that the thick one should go on the outside and the thin one on the inside, and I think that was a bad assumption. We have this little assembly here, which is actually the mechanism that's going to lock in to the strike plate here, just kind of like that. We have this UHMW pad. It's kind of a hard plastic rubber that is going to mount to the swing arm, and this is going to allow the swing arm to ride up on this plate and then have some positive pressure here to spread that weight between both ends of the swing arm when it's closed. We have a few button-headed bolts here that are going to attach the strike plate to the bumper. We have a couple seals here for the spindle that the swing arm rides on. We have a spring that controls the latch. And then we have another one of these ball studs. One's already mounted to the bumper, and this one is going to mount to the swing arm to hold our gas strut here. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is mount this UMHW pad to my swing arm here, and then I'm also going to be mounting this bracket that holds the spring for the latching mechanism. Now these are nylock nuts, so I really don't have to worry about them coming off, but I just love using a little Loctite. And these are 7/16 nuts. Hex on the other side. See how this right here has a slope on it, and that's what allows it to ride up on that strike plate, so it'll sit a little bit low and then put that pressure on the strike plate. The ball stud is going to go right here on this inner hole. Alright. Ooh, I got him. So I have this 4-inch stainless steel bolt for the latching mechanism. And what we want to do here is we want to put both of these bushings in to the latch, like that. And then these plastic bushings are going to sit right inside there. We're going to put this in here like this. And we're going to slide one of these plastic bushings on each side. Stainless washer on the outside. And slide the bolt in from the bottom. Okay. Not sure how easily you can see that, but I've got this bolt going in, the flat bushing, the bushing that's in the latch, and then another flat bushing on the other side. I'm just trying to wiggle that around until I get it lined up here. Go. My washer, just a little bit of Loctite, and my nylock nut. I want this to be snug, but not so tight that the latch doesn't move. So you can tighten it pretty tight. It's still got lots of play. And then on this hole on the latch, I want to put this mechanism that provides the latching, and I'm going to put, there's 3 washers, I'm going to put 2 washers on one side, on the side this is on, and one on the other. I think these extra washers are in here in case you need to adjust this, but At least the other one that I've already done, it was sitting perfectly with the strike plate right in the middle of this. Now I'm going to attach the spring from the latching mechanism over to this bracket. This is going to hook in there like that, and over to here. And you can see I'm going to pull the latch like that to open it up. This is going to slide this around the strike plate, and then the spring keeps it pulled back tight up into this notch. Actually, we can watch it right here. So now it's outside, and now it's hooked in there. Okay guys, we're just about ready to mount this on the truck. The last thing we need to do before we put the arm on is mount our strike plate. So we have these 4 button head bolts that we're going to use to mount that directly to the bumper. And we have these Zerk fittings left over, and we can't put these on until the very end because they get in the way of some of the mounting process, and you'll see that. The same thing with these bumpers. These are a little tricky to get onto the arm, but we can't do that until we have the main bolts for the arm in place and this mounted on the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and install our strike plate now and then mount our 4 main bolts. In the instructions, you're going to find that the next step before you put this on would be to take this spindle out, pack your bearings with grease, and insert these 2, what are they, I guess grease bushings into either end of this to hold that grease in. I saw Sam from Deep South Overlander in the process of doing that and saw it in the instructions. However, when I opened this up to do that, I found that these were already installed on both of my swing arms, and there appeared to be grease in the bushings and on the shaft already. So I'll probably run a little more grease in there once I get these Zerk fittings on and get the arm mounted, but I'm just going to keep these extra bushings to replace the old ones if anything happens to them or they wear out. The strike plate is going to sit right here, and this stainless lip here is going to allow that rubber pad to float up on here and then sit right there. And I'm going to put a little bit of Antiseize on them. And if you haven't worked with Antiseize much, it's really nasty stuff and it's hard to get off, but a little WD-40 will clean it right up. Now we're going to mount the Swingout onto the truck, and we're going to start by putting this into position and dropping the nut on here. It drops right down into this slot, and check the latch, make sure everything looks like it's positioned properly, and then we're going to come over here, put in our first 2 bolts. I have access to these 2 when this is in the closed position. When you're working around the spindle, you don't really have a real good angle on where these bolts go in, so you're going to need a fairly shallow socket to be able to get in there and tighten it all the way down. Took us a few tries to get the one that worked best, and this is a 16 millimeter. So I'm not going to tighten this all the way, just going to get the first 2 on. So now I'm going to open this back up, and I'm putting all 4 of these in, just getting them started so that I can really see how this is lining up, make sure everything's good. And you might be able to see over here, this is where the grease Zerks go, so you can't, if you have those in, you can't actually get to these bolts at all. If you had some kind of ultra shallow socket, you could probably get in there, but once you get them almost all the way tight at kind of this funky angle, then at least this socket that I have fits. You can see this has a little bit of play. So my other side was really tight, so I want this to be as high as possible so that this is tight but not super tight. I'm just going to get these a little snugger than I have them and see how the operation of the swing arm is before I really torque them. Okay, I'm holding it up. I want you to tighten it slowly. Okay, now do the bottom one. Okay, that's good. When I put some upward pressure on it and had you tighten it, it worked a little better. Okay, so now we'll tighten these up and then check that fit. This thing is supposed to be about 60 foot-pounds, so that's good for us to get started. All right, so let's see. Okay, that's in there nice and tight. Okay, so now before I put the strut on, I'm going to torque these guys. Now that we have those tight, we're going to tighten this up, as Ben says in the instructions, to load the bearing. And I just got it nice and snug. And I make sure, just making sure there's no play in this and that it swings freely. When I initially tightened these spindles, I did not have the weight of the tire carrier. And once I put this on, I actually noticed some movement in the spindle. So I tightened it ever so slightly until I got it tight enough where that play was taken up and I didn't see any of that movement when I opened up the tire carrier. But I was pretty careful to make sure that I wasn't going to crush anything by over tightening these. So now the next thing we need to do is the strut. And the reason we have to do the strut before we do the bumper pieces is because this actually has to swing all the way out past where that bumper is going to hold this, hold the swing arm. So when the bumper's on the swing arm, it's going to go out this far. But to get this strut on, we need to go a little further. So we got to be able to swing that out all the way. Now, this thing has these little pins, and you got to flip it, sort of flip it around the top here, and then slide it out. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just put a tiny bit on there. Keep it from... And I'm going to pop this end on there. So to put these pins back in, you got to be able to kind of see the hole. And so on the blind one, because once this is in here, it's really hard to see. On the other side, it was the side by the truck, so it was even harder. But I just get it started in that hole. Oh, crap. Just get it started in that hole while I can see it. And then that way I can just slide it in without having to find it blindly. So this bumper is going to close and contact this. It's going to help keep a load on this so there's pressure on the latch. Each side comes with a set of washers, 5 of them, and their primary purpose is to shim. And I'm just going to take this nut and hold it up in there with my finger, and I'll just get this hand tight and then I'll check how that latch is working. It's really hard to get in here, but you can do it with an open-ended wrench. Yeah, it's pretty tight, so I really like that. I got to put the bigger bumper on the other side. Now this one's really tricky. To get this one in, you have to be able to get this nut in here. I'm going to do it the same way with my fingers. I'm going to slide it up in here into position and then get it hand started. And I tell you what, I can't believe I did that first time because it took me like 30 times on the other side. And once you get it started, you can hold your wrench up in there on the nut and then just hand tighten it from out here. And I put a little Loctite on that, and I'm just going to get it as tight as I can by hand. Now I'll tighten this one up. You want to do the honors? Get it as tight as you can. I'm dripping. Oh my gosh, I'm dripping on the camera.
Oh, that's gross.
Let's see how well it closes.
Nice and snug. So the very last thing we need to do is put these grease zerks in. Just Not too tight. Okay, and this was already greased, but for good measure, I'm just gonna hook on my grease gun. Pump a few squirts of grease in there. Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Let us know if you have any questions about our Dissent off-road bumper or anything else we got going on. And keep an eye out for upcoming videos where we'll be putting together our accessories and mounting them to the Swingout and wiring up everything on the bumper. Thanks a lot.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. And always feel free to leave us any comments or questions that you might have.